Hi, my name is Beth, and you're listening to the Cannabis Fitness and Nutrition Podcast, where we are hanging out at the intersection of fitness, nutrition, and cannabis. Thank you so much for pressing play today. Normally we talk all about the benefits of cannabis and mindful movement, mindful eating, and strategies to help you be your fittest and to use cannabis as a tool, a wellness tool. And today we're going to take a little bit different perspective because we're going to talk about the guilt and the shame associated with it, because it's not so obvious that to use cannabis as a tool for fitness and for health, but yet a lot of us do, and a lot of us love fitness and being healthy, and a lot of us love cannabis, but society tells us that cannabis is a drug. Society tells us that cannabis makes you lazy, and the society's perception of cannabis does not align with society's perception of fitness and health, right? So if you've ever, lit up or grabbed your vape or taken an edible to relax, but then felt maybe that I shouldn't be doing this, like maybe this doesn't work together, or beat yourself up for it because you're trying to be fit, then this episode is for you. If your jeans feel tight and your first instinct is to punish your body by doing more exercise, then this is for you. And if you still feel like food is some sort of scorecard, right? Like either it's good or bad, like it's a yes or a no. If you feel like food is good or bad, then this one is for you. Here's what I need you to know. The shame that we carry around about cannabis, about carbs, oh my gosh, about missing a workout, right? Or needing rest. It's not proof that you're doing it wrong or that cannabis is causing a problem. It's really just we are believing what society is telling us, that we don't trust our bodies and that there's some sort of perfection standard that we must obtain in order to be fit. And I blame social media for a lot of this, but this has been around for much longer than social media. Growing up, I was a magazine addict, I guess you could say, right? Because magazines were the social media of the time. And you would flip open, God, there were so many magazines, they're probably still out there. We just don't read them anymore because we have social media. But there was like a fitness, there was Muscle in Hers, and Fit in Her and Strong in Her. There were all these, you know what I mean? There were all these different magazines that were all about fitness and being fit and perfect and looking a certain way. And so those messages have been around for a very, very long time. You're not alone if you felt this way lately. You stare at your closet, dreading jeans that once fit, but now don't. And you feel like this is all your fault because you've been smoking a lot of weed and you've been succumbing to cravings, right? You feel like that's all your fault. Or maybe you take your cannabis, you light up, or you take your edible, whatever you like, you get your drink to unwind. But then this shame starts to creep in and you think, did I just ruin this again? Like, here I go. I'm sitting down with my weed and now I have cravings. So this is obviously the weed's fault and my fault. Or maybe you just microdose, right? And you take like a milligram or two at a time just to be more present, more in your body. But you still feel like you have to hide that. Oh my gosh, the amount of conversations I've had over the years as a personal trainer where clients revealed to me with a sense of guilt. They would reveal to me that they were doing that, maybe taking an edible before bed or, enjoying, infused beverages are kind of new, but maybe they were lighting up and taking a vape, smoking a vape before they went to bed or just to relax or on the weekends or something, being embarrassed to tell your coach, your personal trainer, your nutrition coach, being embarrassed to tell other people, maybe even your partner or your clients or your friends and family. Maybe you're even embarrassed to tell them because, again, society's perception that it's not a wellness tool at all. And how can you be going to the gym and spending money on a personal trainer and then going home and smoking weed, right? That just didn't seem to fit. And I could see how that would be embarrassing, right? Or maybe you eat super clean all week. You're like, Monday through Friday, I have, I'm a salad girl and I have, just vegetables and protein and no carbs. But then the weekend hits and suddenly it's all out the window. You're out to eat every night, eating French fries, eating, anything that comes to mind. You've got pizza and cookies and you just feel like you totally blew it over, Chinese food on the weekends, right? Or you just push yourself to get through every workout because you think that dragging yourself to the gym every single day is the only way to get results, especially if you keep blowing it on the weekend with your food. Then you're like, here we go again, Monday morning, I better get up and I better go to the gym and I better, run my miles, or I better, get that class, or maybe you go to 2 classes, maybe you get back-to-back classes on the Peloton because you feel like you have to punish your body and all you really feel is tired instead of results. But that's what you think counts, and that's what you think you need to get results. And probably the biggest thing I hear about and see with clients is the constant comparison to social media. You're scrolling on IG or TikTok, and there's some skinny fit with 6-pack model girl, with showing off her 6-pack, of course, because if you have one, you have to show it, right? Telling everyone that you have to eat X number of grams of protein to look like this, but it happened in 2 weeks because she just ate 120 grams of protein and walked with a weighted vest, right? And you're like, well, I guess I should be more disciplined then. I guess I should stop smoking weed and just start walking around with my weighted vest and eat 120 grams of protein and that, and then you feel bad about yourself, right? You start to feel guilty and shameful, like, I'm doing all these things wrong. And these people on TikTok are just super fit because they're so disciplined and they have all this willpower. Hear me when I say, you're not lazy. It's not the weed. You're not broken for needing it. You're not broken for liking it. You're not wrong for liking it. You're not addicted. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not lazy. The things that society is telling you are based in misconceptions and not in truth or in science. I hit it. I did all that. I did all of that. I hit it as a personal trainer. I was like, no way is anyone going to want to work with me if they know how much I love cannabis, right? I'm using CBD every day for anxiety. I'm enjoying THC to relax and to help me be more me in social situations. It's helping me focus and it's helping me be creative and decompress. It's helping me with all of these things. It's helping me sleep better. It's helping me have more mindful workouts. It's helping me eat more mindfully. I thought, okay, I could go on, right? But I thought, no way is anyone ever going to want to work with me if I start telling people that that's what I do, right? Turns out, not true. Not true. Not only is it not true, but when I decided to study the science of it, I realized that the science actually supports all of the things that I was doing, and that my clients that were honest with me, I appreciated. And I realized that there was a reason that we all liked it so much, is because of the science behind the cannabinoids, right? And the truth is, what's really happening to you, the reason you feel like that, is because you're exhausted. You're burnt out. You're trying to be good all the time, quote unquote good, right? You believe that there's a good and a bad, and there's really not. There's no good, there's no bad. And cannabis is a great way to find and learn and experience the middle ground. right? So the reality is you're trapped in the loop of starting strong, falling off, blaming yourself, when all along you just need to keep doing what you're doing. You feel guilty, but that's not what you should lean into. You need to recognize that the guilt is based on what society is telling you, and you need to lean into how you intuitively feel, right? Because the truth is, cannabis isn't a setback. It's actually support, right? And it can help you realize that these other things you're feeling, hunger, right? If you're feeling hunger, that's not sabotage, right? That's not it's not your body calling out to, crave pizza on purpose. It's a signal. It's a signal that your body, if you're craving certain foods, these are lessons, right? These are clues to this puzzle of why you're not at your ideal weight. Why aren't you at your ideal weight? Because you're craving pizza all the time? It's probably because you're not balanced in how you're eating. And that's a great example. Why do you crave pizza, chips, carbs, cookies all the time? Is because you're probably either not eating enough, and your body's going overboard to try to overcompensate for not eating enough carbs. So you're restricting yourself too much. Because when we restrict ourselves, restricting backfires. They've actually studied this. So when you restrict yourself and say, I can't eat carbs, I can't eat pizza, I can't eat chips, then your body actually starts to want them more, right? There's a experiment, a psychology experiment that they did many, many years ago. I think it's called, I want to say it's White Elephant, but I feel like that's the Christmas game. But let's go with that for an example, right? Let's call it the White Elephant example, because they say, the experiment was, okay, white elephant, now don't think about white elephant. And then, the experiment was, okay, well, no one could stop thinking about a white elephant because they said it's unusual, and it got stuck in everybody's head. So, therefore, when you say don't do something, your brain rebels and automatically wants to do more of that. So when you say, okay, I'm not going to eat carbs, I'm not going to eat any carbs, then your brain is like, carbs everywhere. All I see is carbs. Oh my gosh, there are carbs everywhere and I can't have any of them, right? And then you start to rebel, and then you start the fight with yourself. And then you start that devil on one shoulder, angel on one shoulder, whole war between yourself of it. And that happens with food, it happens with cannabis, and it happens with exercise, right? So it becomes a cycle, right? It becomes a cycle of restriction, control, right? And then you break it and you succumb. So say you're telling yourself, I'm not going to eat carbs. And then you hold on tight for maybe it's Monday through Friday. And you're like, I didn't. And then the weekend comes and your friends want to go out for pizza. So you do, and you overindulge because you haven't had any in weeks. And then you've suddenly blown it, right? And then in our case, with those of us that love cannabis, you might be blaming the cannabis and being like, well, I got so high that I, just overindulged in the pizza. But maybe it's not the cannabis's fault. Maybe it's a combination of restricting too much the food and not using cannabis to actually help you with this whole process, right? It's not blaming that, and you shouldn't feel guilty for doing that. It's not necessarily a cause and effect. It's just you need to know how to use it correctly. So let's take this specific example. You say you're going to not eat any carbs, which, first of all, as your coach, I would say, let's not do that. Let's try to balance your carbs, right? Carbs are not bad. The only thing that's quote unquote bad is that we eat too much of them. There's just too much. No one needs to be buying 4 bags of potato chips at the grocery store at a time. Serving size of pasta is it's like a cup or something. It's a half a cup. I think it's so small. Same thing with rice, right? Like a half a cup to a cup is a lot. It's plenty. But you go to a restaurant and they're giving you like a plate full of pasta, a plate full of rice. Going out to get pizza. Pizza. Have you seen pizza slices lately? They're ginormous, right? Let's have a regular slice of pizza that's actually 1 serving of bread, okay? Let's normalize actual serving sizes. Because if you eat a regular serving size, and this is where I get into my moderation coaching, then you should be able to maintain your weight by eating a normal serving of carbohydrates. Let's not demonize carbs, right? And second of all, it's not the cannabis's fault. You're using cannabis because you like the way you feel, right? The restriction you created by believing that you needed to be perfect to manage your weight and to fit into your clothes, that's what created the problem. Cannabis can be the tool to either exacerbate the problem or to be the solution to the problem. And here's the difference. Knowing your cannabis and listening to your body. Rule number 1, let's put this first. The right type of cannabis. Make sure that if that's your goal, if your goal is to be fit and fit into your clothes the way that are comfortable to you and feel good, feel strong, hit your workouts consistently, have your shorts zip right up, feel good in a bathing suit, feel good about yourself, not hide from yourself and not compare yourself to the way you used to look. If that's your goal, then you need to be looking at the type of cannabis you use, because some strains, and let's talk about terpenes, some terpenes will actually stimulate the munchies. They stimulate your appetite. Some terpenes do not. So first thing I would do is I would look into the cannabis that you enjoy, and I would check your terpene profile. And I would look up your terpenes, and I would get to know your terpenes. And if you're smoking something that has a ton of myrcene in it, I'm going to say, and that's causing you to overeat pizza, then I'm going to say, let's look for a different strain. Let's try something else. Let's try something that might be a little more energizing or a little more suppressing, appetite suppressing. Humulene is an appetite suppressant. Terpene, it's typically not a primary terpene, but you can find it amongst others. CBD. Now, CBD is an appetite suppressant because it blocks the way the body uses THC. So it brings down your high and it suppresses your appetite. So it doesn't allow those appetite stimulating effects to happen as quickly and as profoundly. So adding CBD to your THC, you might not be as high, but you will not get the munchies. Same thing with CBG. If you're a sativa girl like me, you might really love the CBG THC combo like I do, because you don't get the effects of THC like appetite stimulation, because the CBG, the CBG, what am I trying to say? The CBG blocks that. Okay. So looking at your terpenes is 1. Adding CBD or CBG is 2, right? And 3, it's the intention and it's how you use cannabis. Using it to actually listen to your body, listen to your hunger signals, listen to what your body is asking for. And that requires a little bit of slowing down. Beautiful thing is, you probably already know this. If you use cannabis, you probably already know that cannabis slows you down and brings you into your body a little bit more. And it's just a matter of, when you're trying to be fit, it's just a matter of being really conscious about this, especially when it comes to eating. Being really aware of what your body is saying. I love cannabis for this personally, like especially, it's so easy to get snacky at night, right? We're all trying to unwind and watch a little TV and just get ready for bed, get ready for the next day. And, sometimes I get those little twinges of snackiness, like, this would be a neat time to go into the kitchen and see what's available. But because I use cannabis at night, I go back into my body and I check right back in with my stomach. And 9.5 times out of 10, my stomach says, nah, you're full. You're good. You're good. You're not hungry. You don't need anything. You're good. You actually don't need anything. Sometimes it'll say, no, you know what? There's a little space in here and you might want to eat something so that you don't get too hungry later, or you don't want to wake up hungry, whatever the reason is. I check in with my stomach. I check in, and that is what you need to do. You're going to check in with your body and go into your body, and that stops the war. It stops the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder. You checking in with your body. So next time you light up, next time you grab your edible or your tincture or your drink, and if that little twinge of guilt comes in and you think, here I go again. I'm going to have this, and now I'm going to get snacky, and then I'm never going to fit into my clothes, and that dress I want to wear for, the XYZ event later this summer isn't going to fit, and you start to get down on yourself and feel guilty and go into that spiral of cannabis isn't good for me, and you can't be fit and stoned, and all of these things. I want you to check in with your body. I want you to go in, and I want you to see what your body is really asking for. And a lot of times, in this day and age, in this society that we live in, we just need a little bit of a rest and a little bit of calm. So I encourage you to listen to your body, check in, and use it to just quiet yourself. There's a lot of talk about nervous system regulation, and this can be a tool for nervous system regulation. And all that means is just finding a sense of calm, finding a sense of peace within your own body. And I believe cannabis can be an incredible tool for this. So no more guilt, guys. No more guilt around cannabis, and no more guilt around cannabis being a problem with your eating. And you can be fit and stoned. You can get high and eat well, and all of those things. It is possible. So thanks for listening today. If you have any questions or want to talk about it, please feel free to reach out. My email is beth@cannafitnessnutrition.com. This is exactly the work we do in my one-on-one program, is we talk about these things, and we talk about how to get your eating on track, use your intuition and your body to make these decisions, still love cannabis, but using it to tap into what your body really needs, being fit, getting the movement in that you need, being consistent, but all while using cannabis as a tool and not as a crutch, right? And not as a drug just to escape. We're using it with intention. So thanks for listening today, and I will see you next time.